Well, hi everybody. This is Sherry Hughes. I'm a paper crafter, and I'm sharing with you today a project that I developed that I've just fallen in love with. It is a single deck playing card holder, a game book basically, that you can put a single deck of standard size cards, and you can put one or two pencils in it. I've remodified that now to hold just one pen instead of holding two, and it has a score pad in it. It's a quick, simple project that I'm going to share with you today, so I hope that you enjoy it, and we'll get started. First, I did do a cutting guide for this. You might want to take a screenshot of it if you haven't already uploaded that PDF file that I shared online. We're going to be following these measurements. Everything's already pre-cut out, and this is going to be a quick project tonight. I've already done this this video a couple of times, and unfortunately my computer went on the blink and I lost the videos. So now I'm going to do a quick version of it, and hopefully it'll answer your questions. A more detailed description is available on YouTube with my 2-deck version game book, so card game book. So you can check that out if you have further questions on explanations. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I have to have chipboard, and I use heavyweight chipboard to support the weight of the cards. And I have two pieces that are 6 by 3.5 inch. I'm going to go ahead and place this piece of the double-sided adhesive tape on the chipboard to give you an idea as to how it works and what's the best way to do this. You put your chipboard on your score pal, and then we're going to peel off the back. Stick that down to our chipboard in the corner. Smooth that out with our burnishing tool. And we've got it ready to cover. Now let's go ahead and quickly do our spine. The front and back pieces were cut to 6 by 3.5, and the spine piece was cut to 6 inches by 1 inches. So let's go ahead and stick this down on here. And now we've got it ready to go as well on a cover. So the next thing we're going to need is the front and back cover wraps. So we need to cut our artisan cardstock to 5.5 by 8 inches. And for the spine, we need a 4-inch by 8-inch piece. So I've got those pre-cut for us. So we're going to go ahead and cover these. I'm going to stick my paper right in the corner there. And I'm going to use 2 of my spacers. These are the wonderful spacers that I got at Country Craft Creations that work beautifully every time. It gives us a 1-inch border on all 4 sides of our paper. If you line up the paper underneath, make sure it goes all the way in the corner. Put this one across, this one down the side, then just lay your chipboard down. You'll get a nice, even look. Okay, we're going to cover that in just a moment, but let's go ahead and get the other one done. Stick this one down. And now we have this one done. One more. We're going to do the spine, but we've got to make one little adjustment. Instead of using the 1-inch spacer on the side, we're going to use the 1.5-inch spacer, because what we're looking for is to have a wider berth on both sides of our spine. See, we want it to be right in the middle like this to give us plenty of room to secure that to the front and the back covers. So let me stick this one down. All right. Now, I'm going to put everything away, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're going to cover our chipboard. And to do that, I'm going to take my burnishing tool, and I'm just ever going to slightly go around. Let me take this second sheet out. It's not wanting to stay still. And I'm just going to score it all the way around so that I can start bending it a little bit, training those paper fibers. Yeah, it's been a long 24 hours. I started trying to upload my videos yesterday morning, thinking it wouldn't take very long on my computer to move them from iMovie to the computer files, and then I downloaded it from the iMovie to the computer, and then I had to upload it to YouTube. Little did I know, my computer had decided to throw a temper tantrum and pretty much crashed. I had to update everything and try to get it going again. And, excuse me. And while it was doing all that, it kept giving me error messages. So I worked all night, and at 5:57 this morning, I finally got the YouTube video uploaded for the second, for the 2-deck version of the card book. Lost the first one completely, and so now I am reshooting it. And that's probably the most frustrating. I'm a newbie at all of this, so the editing portion, I finally got a good grip on that, but I'm having trouble with my computer handling the files. And it's a pretty big iMac, so I don't know why I'm having difficulties. So, now that I've folded and I've creased that, we've got to add some score tape to it. I just was running my mouth while we were working there. I'm going to add my score tape on the chipboard and on the side of the paper. And I have gotten to where I cover all of my chipboard the same exact way. I love this method. It's easy peasy. I'm not sure who designed it, but whoever they are, I'm eternally in your debt because it works, it stays secure, and it's easy to do. Now, you may not know it, but I have been with Country Craft Creations. I just found out about them last May. Started working with their products on the recipe book. And then a friend of mine talked me into attending the online retreat in July, and I was hooked. What can I say? So I've been at this quite a bit over the last 6 to 8 months. Now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to slightly miter my corners. And yes, I'm going to be cutting off part of the tape. No worries. Okay. Excellent. It looks excellent. So we're ready to pull the tape off and start our gluing process. Now, I get at a loss for words. My memory is not what it used to be. And I actually take Prevagen. I'm a firm believer of Prevagen. Not trying to sell it. I'm just telling you it works for me. And so I have to have little memory joggers sometimes, a guideline to go by or something. So I leave this out in front of my desk all the time. That way I remember exactly how I want to do my covers. This has been out now for a month. So If you need a cheat sheet, guys, don't be embarrassed. Everybody has to have something to make them feel secure. All right, let's fold the, oh, got to add the glue. I'm going to put a slight bead down through here. I'm going to go ahead and add glue to my flat. And I'm going to bend this over. Now, if I get excess glue, no worries. I take a towel and I get the excess off, but I want to smooth it out. Wipe it off with my burnishing tool. I found that Viva paper towels tend to work extremely well, so I use them. All right, and we'll fold that one over. Okay, one more. Okay, now I've got a little dog hair there. All I have to do is cut that off. What can I do to cover it? Easy. I take a marker and I just dab a little ink on it. One of the beautiful benefits of having a Copic collection. You have every color. I'd love to do a video for you guys sometimes on Copic coloring. I'm a certified Copic instructor. Love my Copics. I just haven't done a coloring video in some time. All right, here we go. We are now done with our cover. And I'll tell you, it works really good if you'll run your burnishing tool over these edges and smooth them out and make them nice and squared. Okay, now to save time, I'm going to go ahead and do the other side off camera. All right, as you can see, I've got my two covers done. I am ready to secure the spine to these two covers. And to do that, what I need to do is I need to work with my paper just a little bit. This is the spine piece that was 1 by 6 inches. And I mounted it inside of the Artisan Brown cardstock with a 1/2 inch border on the sides and an inch border on the top and the bottom. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get this to bend a little bit so that when I get ready to attach my spine, it will bend and lay my book completely flat so I can keep scores. So I'm kind of training it a little bit. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to bend this over and I'm going to score it down. Bend this one over and I'm going to score it down. Okay. And I'm going to work on the end. And I have to press this down firmly. I want this to be a nice, smooth transition because I'm going to leave it like that. So I've got to do the same on both ends. So I'm burnishing it down very smoothly, just like that. Now I'm going to apply a little bit of tape right on the chipboard and some right up here. Same thing here. And again, right up here. All right. Now I'm going to glue this. I better burnish. Someone commented that they loved my accent. And I go, what accent? I know I'm from the South. Can you tell? Proud of it. Live in a rural community outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And one of the best places in the world to live. I'll tell you that right now because there's only 44,000 people in my county. And you know every mailman, You know everybody at the store. It's just a small town, and I absolutely love it. Cost of living's not very high. It's become my dream space. Or I should say dream place. So I had applied the glue around the edges there. I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going down just a little bit on the spine. I want it to be secure around that chipboard. And if I have room, I like to put just a hair of glue on the top. Doop, 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 doop. Isn't that just festive? Now let me go stick my pin in there. Pull this over. Press it down nice and flat. I want to make sure I've got every bit of that seam as flat as I can. Now I'm going to take my scissors that I dropped on the floor, and I'm going to miter just a smidgen. And this is just to make a smooth transition from one cover to the other. All right, now I'm going to bring my score pal back into the picture. I'm going to lay the bottom of it down here so that I can use this guideline to help me line up my covers. This is such a small book that I can line my covers up easily all at one time down here. I do recommend that you double check yourself that you didn't glue it on the wrong side. Pressing that down a little flatter now that I've got that seam in there. When you watch my other video on the 2 deck of cards, you'll see I made that mistake. If you can't laugh at yourself, guys, who can you laugh at, you know? So now I'm going to take my score tape. I'm going to place it on here about 1/4 of an inch from that edge because I do not want it, I just don't want it to show from the front. And then I'm going to put it on this end. Trim off that extra little bit right here. Good. I'm going to smooth it down. I forgot, went off camera. Sorry, guys. Okay. Just like that. And I'm going to burnish this one more time because I don't like the way it folded. I want a nice crisp edge there. That's better. Much better. Okay, now while I'm at it, I think I'll go ahead and do the other side with the tape. Okay, so I can burnish that down good. I don't want this tape to come off. And now I'm going to fold that over. Make sure it's good and tight. And run that down to make a nice crisp edge. Okay, we're set. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to peel this off like this. I'm going to apply my glue. Anywhere that I see brown. Move my score pal back in. Stick the edge here, but my cover up, I'm going to double check just to make sure I'm happy with this whole thing. Stick that right up next to it. You want it to be flat, so turn it over. Make sure you've got the right angle there. And I don't think I slid mine down far enough, but I think it's close enough that I can live with it and work with it. Now I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Put the glue on it. If I can get the peeling off here. It's that time of year where your fingernails break every 5 minutes. Mine are so brittle. Okay, and now I'm going to slide that up on that edge. Oop, and slide it down, bring it over. Burnish that. Now, my book should stand beautifully. Wipe off the excess glue. All right, so now we're going to apply our spine cover. The spine cover itself is 4 1/4 inches by 5 7/8. And it's going to go in there just like that. And what I do is I take my burnishing tool, I groove it very carefully down that spine. I'm going to turn it around. Now you can certainly go on there and measure and score if you want to, but I like to make sure it's got a good snug fit. So I'm going to fold that over just a little bit, crease this. Do the same on the opposite side. Crease this. Now, when I get ready to do my spine cover, it will bend nicely. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to apply my tape on the back here and my glue. And I do not, see, I almost did it. I do not want to put the tape in that groove because I want it to give. I don't want it to have to work over a piece of tape. Okay, so I'm going to lay down my tape, the outside edge. Take my glue. Pull my tape liner off. Now, my habit is to secure the middle first. If you get the middle, you can work with the rest. Don't put glue in that seam, okay? Now, we're going to take it. We're going to put that right in the center. I'm going to fold up just to make sure I've got it nice and smooth. Good. Wipe off my excess glue. Make sure I've got it centered. Oh, it's perfect. I sound surprised, don't I? After doing this video so many times, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. So, rather than cry about it, we just laugh. And we keep on trucking. All right, now I'm going to fold that over with it straight and then bend it up, because if I don't do that, it won't lay flat when I get ready to bend that up. So now I'm going to train it just a little bit using my burnishing tool. And see, now it lays flat. Let's pull this tape off here and add the glue. And again, don't get it in the crease. You want to leave that free. And if your tape's not all the way to the edge, put a thin line. All right, again, leave it flat. Run that. Oh, this is looking good, guys. We've just about got our book. Look, isn't that sharp? Okay, I love this brown artisan cardstock. The only thing I don't like about it, it's hard to see in the videos when I do measurements. We're going to cover the outside of our book, front, back, inside, outside. And to do that, I need to cut the paper. I need 4 pieces exactly the same size, 5 7/8 high by 3 3/8 across. I will tell you that if you're going to be cutting it, you want to be uniform with your marks for your wood. If you're using the wood grain, you don't want some of them going up and down and some going across. So what I will probably do here, I have one that goes in the wrong direction. So it will probably be on the inside behind something else so that you won't notice it. But I'm going to put the same pattern of crossways on the outside. So we'll start with it first. Let's see, I want to look and see what will make a pretty cover. What do you think? Does that one look pretty good to you? Or would that one look better? Boy, that's a toss-up because we're going to be putting this on top of it. So it really doesn't make that much difference. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue and just quickly glue this down to the front cover. I'm not going to use any score tape. I'm just going to use glue. And I'm going to quickly take it and mount it right here. Try to get it straight. My favorite saying, easy peasy. Now I'm going to put the other one on the back side. I think that looks pretty good. What do you think? Or should I go with a darker one? Oh, that matches perfectly. Let's do it. So we'll just put that on here. The beauty of these love letters papers, I hadn't even mentioned that this time, and I've got to do that. Country Craft Creations has an exclusive paper pack called Love Letters, and I have fallen in love with it. I have showed on every video all the different colors I've used. I mean, there's so many different color schemes that you can use with it. I just absolutely adore it. This is the browns. Again, I've got to show a quick sneak peek. This is the one I did first, which was in the pinks and the ivories. Isn't that lovely? And my most recent favorite one is the gray. Isn't that handsome? Just love the elegant look of it. No, I'm not doing a tutorial on that. This was a personal project, and I just loved the pretty elegant look on it. So I just thought I'd give you, all of those papers came from the Love Letters collection. Absolutely love it. All right, now we're going to continue. I'm sorry. I got sidetracked. Got to introduce it. You can purchase the Love Letters collection from Country Craft Creations. The link will be below in the description. And I like this. I think that looks pretty sharp, right? No, that's what I want. So I'm going to glue this on. I just like to show a little bit of what I work with, because that way you get an idea of the different colors. I don't do just dull. My mother says my favorite color of clothing is dull, browns and grays. And she's probably right. I do like navy. But, you know, we all have our particular colors that we wear the most. All right, now I'm going to put this on the other side. And I know I'm hurrying, so I may be putting the papers on upside down, but We will live with it. It will be fine. I'm looking to see if the writing goes the right direction. It does. I'm fortunate. And now we're going to put on the spine covers. The spine cover for the inside and the outside are the same. They're 7/8 of an inch by 5 and 7/8. So I'm going to put this darker brown one, I believe, on the outside. I like that. So I'm going to quickly add it. Line it up a little bit there. Okay, there's that spine cover. And we're going to do the same with this one. Well, if I can hit the paper. And I apologize if I get off camera a little bit. It's late and I want to make sure that I get this done. People are asking for it. Okay, outside, inside, look identical just about, okay? So now we'll start on our pockets. We're going to start with the back pocket first. It is the pocket that we slide the pad of paper in and out of. And that pocket will only support a pad of paper up to 2 3/8 by 4 1/4. You can maybe stretch it out a little bit to hold a 2.5 inch, but that's going to be a very tight fit. So the pad that I'm using is 2 3/8 by 4 1/4, which is kind of important. So we're going to do this little pocket first. As you can see here, the pad just slides right in there. So first thing we've got to do is score this. So I'm going to bring my scoreboard out. This is 4 by 5 inches for the little mini legal pad. Let me grab a stylus so I can score it. Now, with the 4-inch side at the top, I'm going to score at the 1/2 inch mark. And I'm going to score at the 3.5 inch mark. That puts a 1/2 inch on both sides, if you want to just turn it around. Now, with the 5-inch side at the top, I'm just going to score at the 1/2 inch. Okay? And the 1/2 inch, we're going to simply cut this right across the X, like that. Miter our top edge of our pocket. I'm going to bend this over. Bend this over. Bend this over. This is a recording. Ha ha ha. Okay. Don't get me started. If I get tired, I start getting silly and telling stupid jokes. So now I'm going to be gluing this into my book. Just like this. And I'll warn you ahead of time. You want to leave about a 1/2 inch at the bottom here. And you want to glue this over as close as you can to the edge of the book. That way you have enough room when you close it for your card pocket to work. So we're going to glue this down now. That's why I was showing you before I start gluing. Again, I'm using art glitter glue, which is, of course, going to give me a little bit of a problem tonight. The poor thing has worked its little heart out for the last 24 hours. If yours clogs up, you do know that you can unclog it by simply dropping it in hot water. That's the way you do it. And it will soften the glue up. You can use a point or a pin, rather, to pull out the excess glue. I try to keep my tips clean for that reason. I don't like it to clog up on me. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the inside of my book, which I am. And now I'm going to mount this right on that edge. Press it down, just like that. I'm going to use a couple of little clips to help me hold that in place. In fact, I think I'll do it on the other side to kind of help hold it while I sit here. And then we're going to add a mat, which is out of the Love Letters paper, which is 2 7/8 inch by 4 3/8 inch. 2 7/8 inch by 4 3/8 inch. Let's see. 2 7/8 inch by 4. There we go. See, that's going to glue right on top of that. Got to decide which side I like. Yep, I think I like this side. So we're going to glue that on. So while that is still drying, I'm going to glue this down. Take my clips off. Put this in the middle. I did not hit the middle, so I'm going to pull it back off quickly before the glue dries. And then press it down. I'm not going to put my pad of paper in right now, and the reason being it will pull it apart. Let me bit up the glue. It will pull it apart. Now that I've gotten the glue wiped off, we'll continue. So I'm not going to put the pad in. It's going to go in there. It'll slide down in like that. While I'm waiting on that to dry, I am going to take a little piece of paper to put a cover on this. And then I'll wrap it around the top. Now, guys, I can tell you right now, I ordered these little pads from Amazon. You can use whatever you like, whatever you can find. And I just wrap it around the top of my pad, and I cut it to the size of my pad because you're going to find that they're all just a little bit different in size. Here's another one of these. But see, this one's just a smidgen wider. Now, it still fits in my pocket, but it's a smidgen wider. So try to do your wrap to fit the pad that you choose. So what I'm going to do is I am just wrapping it over. I'm not scoring it even. I'm just lightly creasing it so that I can lay it flat. I want to make sure I have enough cover there. Score that sharply. Then do the next one. Score that sharply. And then check it one more time. See, it fits perfectly. And then I'm going to glue this in place. So I'm just going to take my glue and go around it. Wrap it around my pad. Make sure I get that nice and straight there as well. Smooth out my top, smooth out my front, and now my pad will look nice when I slide it in there in a little bit. Okay, and you can decorate that any way you want. I think I actually put a little piece of the paper across the top and a button on it, and then I took another piece of the leftover scratch paper and put at the bottom to embellish it. You can do anything you like to use up your scraps. All right, so that's going to go on there later. We've got our pocket here done. Now we've got to do the pocket over here. Now we're going to do the card pocket that's in the front of our book. As you can see, it's a deep pocket. The card pack slides in easily. There is not a tab that goes over this. In place, we have a notch. And after I attached my card pocket, I went back and put some rules to the game my family plays, which is Samba. It's a 3-deck canasta game. So we're going to attach this card pocket, and the measurements that I've given you in the cutting guide is for a standard card set, okay? Not a narrow card set, but the standard card set. So let's get started. Need the artisan cardstock cut to 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/8. Again, brown artisan cardstock cut 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/8. Those are our mats. I'm going to score now, so I'm going to bring out my scoreboard again. On the 3 3/4 inch side, I'm going to score at 3 1/4 and 2 1/2. So I'm going to do 2 1/2 and 3 1/4. Just so that you understand, this is going to be the bottom of our card pocket. Now I'm going to turn it to the 5 1/8 inch side, and I'm going to score here 4 times. I'm going to score at a 1/2 inch. I'm going to score at 1 1/4 inch. I'm going to score at 3 7/8. And I'm going to score at 4 5/8. That was at a 1/2 inch and 1 1/4. And if you don't want to try to read those measurements, just turn it around. And again, it'll be at the 1/2 inch and the 1 1/4. Now that's your score lines. So now I've got to show you how we actually cut this and make this work into the pocket. I'm going to take my scissors. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut both of these lines in like that. Can you see that? I cut across this one, cut across this one to where it's going to be the bottom of my pocket right here. Okay? Now let's turn it around and do the same thing on the other side. Cut that over to the middle. Cut this over to the middle. Okay? Now I'm going to cut this off and cut that one off. I'm going to just miter that ever so much, just a little bit. Now again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut both of those off. Okay? Now, what we're going to do here is a lot of mitering. So let me show you. I'll get these out of the way. I'm going to miter my top here and on the opposite side. Now I'm going to miter a smidgen here and a smidgen here. Then I'm going to miter ever so slightly, just up to that point. Here, ever so slightly, and here, ever so slightly. And one more time, ever so slightly right back here to that point. Still haven't got it. There we are. Now I'm going to turn it around and do the same thing one more time. All right, I'm going to ever so slightly miter that to that corner. And I didn't angle it very well, did I now? And then here, I'm going to miter in just a smidgen. Again, and then one more time. So that is what you're looking at. Let me make sure you can see that okay. That is the cut for the pocket itself. All right, now let's go ahead and fold that up. To fold this pocket, it's really quite easy if you hold it correctly. I'm going to turn it over from the side that I scored, and I'm going to start bending in all of my little score lines, increasing them nicely so that everything has a nice even crease to it. All right. I wish I would quit saying all right. I know it gets on your nerves. I'll try to come up with another clever saying, like, isn't that hunky-dory? Once I get all of the sides scored, I'm now going to bring this up, score it, and burnish it down. So I have all my folds completely creased. Now I'm going to start with the pocket opening, which is this one. And I'm going to take my tabs, I'm going to bend this in, roll it up one. This is going to be glued to that. And it should be nice and square when you get done. So let me show you. I'm going to attach glue here. And I'm going to attach glue here. Hopefully not so much that it will squirt out. Bend this up, raise that up, and raise that up, and square that, and hold it for a moment. So let me square this up. I have to do it on the tabletop so I can get it nice and square. Now let that dry for just one moment. Now we're going to be bending this on up one more time and tape and gluing it down by bringing this up and folding that over. So again, I'm going to roll this up, bring the side up, and roll that over. So I'm going to be applying glue here and a little bit of glue there. Let's do this one side first before we start the other side. So I'm going to go here, apply some glue, go here, and apply a little bit of glue, roll this up and over, and hold it. Now I'm going to press it down so I can make sure it's nice and square. You really can't clamp this very much. You just kind of have to hold it. It's looking good. All right, that side looks fabulous. Now let's do the other side the same way. Since we're rolling it up, we're going to apply our glue on this end. Apply a little bit of glue right here. Roll this over. And hold it in place. And that's difficult to hold both points in place, but it's the only way you can do it, really. My dog came in and surprised me and squeaked his squeaky toy right behind me on camera. So I had to do a little editing there, sorry. Okay, so now that this is dry, I have my pocket. I'm going to be attaching my pocket right here. But before I attach it, no, I think I'll go ahead and do it now. I'm going to go ahead and attach the pocket right here. So to attach it, I believe the best thing will be for us to glue that all the way around, all four sides. Now don't stick this down just yet, because I have found, someone suggested this, I wish I could remember to give them credit, but if you take a piece of Scotch tape and put inside of it like that, if I can get my finger off of it now, when you slide the cards in, it won't have a ridge to catch on. So try to put a piece of Scotch tape there before you actually put this down. Now what I did was I kind of lined up my pocket, leaving about a 1/2 inch right here with the end of the pocket there. And you have to kind of position it. Before you press down, stick your cards in it, just like that. And that way you have a way to conform that pocket to the shape of the card deck. Doesn't that look good? Okay. Now we have to let this dry for a moment before we try to punch out the notch. And we'll use a punch to do that. Now that we have the pocket glued in place, we're going to attach a mat to the front of the pocket. This mat is out of the Love Letters Country Craft Creations exclusive paper set. And this mat is cut to 2 1/2 inches by 2 3/8. I'm going to glue that down right here onto the front. Pressing it down so it will dry. The cards actually are great to put in there to hold so you can attach these mats. Then I cut 3 little pieces of the decorative paper to go on the sides and on the bottom. The pocket is finally glued firmly down, so our cards slide in and out. We are going to take and put our little mat coverings on the sides. We need 2 of them that are 2 3/8 inches by 1/2 inch. And then for the bottom, we need one that's 2 1/2 inches by 1/2 inch. So let me glue the bottom one on first because it's the odd size. And I'm just, ooh, I didn't mean to do that much glue. All right, I'm going to press that up against the cards, making sure that's aligned pretty well. I'm going to glue the sides. Good. And one more side piece. Now, I will tell you this, because the decorative paper has a white core and it's printed on, you're going to see that white edge. So I would recommend that you actually do a little distressing of that. And I'll do some of that in just a moment. But first, now that I've got everything on there, I'm going to take a tab punch. If you don't have a tab punch, you can use a circle punch. Just line it up in the middle. Press down. Oops. And it will make a notch. Now, might have been better if I had done that when it was not attached, but I got it on there. We're now going to distress a little bit on the pocket. I use Tim Holtz Distress Inks. I have 2 different colors. Since I use this love letter paper so much, I put samples here with a little bit of the edging done with each of these colors so that I would know whether I want a little bit more of a brown tone or a redder tone. The vintage photo has a red tone to it, and the gathered twig has a deeper brown. And I do like that deeper brown look better. Now, I know I've already mounted it to my brown artisan cardstock. What I'm trying to do is just kind of get that white core to not show and distress the edges just a little bit around my notch. Just kind of take some of the whiteness away. If you want to do this before you glue it down, you're certainly welcome to do that. I just find it easier, since they're such small pieces, to do it afterwards. I generally just go ahead and do the whole book, to be honest with you. So while we're at it, I'll just go ahead and distress all of these edges. This paper is got a little bit of a distressed look to it anyway. So this blends it nice and easily. Let me just quickly go through and do that. Get my spine, a little bit there. Good. While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and do my cover. All right, I'll touch up where I need to off camera, but for right now, I'm very happy with this. It works beautifully to make it all blend nicely. If I have an area that's really white, I can always take my ink pad and touch it up just a little bit more. Okay, that takes care of our distressing. I'll move that out of the way. Oh, there is one more thing we're going to do. Another pocket here, but while we're distressing, I cut out the tag that's found in the Country Craft collection of the love letters. And if you take the We Are Memories hole punch, which, by the way, totally rocks. It has 3 different sizes. And if you use the very smallest punch, you can round that tag beautifully. Let me stick it in there. So let me put it up here so you can see it. You can see there's just a little edge there where I cut the paper. I'm going to stick it in, and it rounds it. Isn't that lovely? That way, and it's just such an easy punch. It just works so beautifully. So I'm going to go ahead and punch the corners of that. And while my ink is still fresh and wet here, I'm going to go ahead and distress the edges. Just hit me that I needed to do that anyway, so we'll just do that right now. Yes, my hands are covered with brown ink. The beauty of it is it will either wear off or wash off. Usually distress ink does wash off. When I work with Copics, unfortunately, the ink never comes off. You can use alcohol, and that will take it off, but if you wait for it to wear off, it takes a while. All right, I'm going to set this to the side for our cover, but I've got it distressed already. Okay, now, the last thing I did on this pocket was I took some of the pretty flowers that were in the Love Letters collection and trimmed those out and fussy cutted them and mounted them on there and added some enamel dots. And again, put whatever you like up here. You might put a little family verse or a prayer, whatever you feel like you need there. Maybe directions for rook, directions for bridge, whatever you want to add. So now we're going to do our pen pocket. The pen pocket that I chose to do with this project here is actually a single pen pocket. It holds the pen much firmer and in place. So this is the size of pocket we're going to make here. For the pen holder, we're going to need a piece of paper in the brown artisan cardstock, pre-cut to 4 inches by 2.5 inches. 4 inches by 2.5 inches. We're going to score this. So once again, we bring in our score pal. And on the 4-inch side, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch. I'm going to turn it now to the 2.5 inch side, and I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, at 1 inch, at 1.5 inches and at 2 inches. Again, that was a 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inches, and 2 inches. Now to cut this, we're going to do it exactly like we did on the card pocket. We're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut directly into the center area. Again, this is the bottom of our pen holder. This is the front, just so you get an idea of what we're doing here. Okay? So I'm going to cut there, and there, and there. I'm going to cut off this tab, and I'm going to cut off this tab. Now I'm going to miter at the top just a smidgen. I'm going to miter just a smidgen here and on the opposite side. This is where I started mitering my little tabs that go inside the folds when I get ready to do it. And there you have it. That's what we're going to be cutting. I'm going to try to make sure you can see it well so that you can study it. Our 1/2 inch lines, the 2 1/2 inch marks down here, and then trimmed. Now, once again, we're going to burnish those lines just like we did before. I kept saying score them, but really what we're doing is burnishing them. So I'm just going to make sure that they're nice and crisp and straight. I'll flip it around and go to the other side. We're about done, guys, with the construction of the book. There's not much left to go. And one last fold here. Now we're going to flip it around and bring these up. And we're ready to start folding our tabs in. Take my glue, put a little bit on this tab, a little on this tab. Fold it in a smidgen. Yeah, I know, smidgen is a southern term. I can see people now cringing when I say that. So I'm going to hold that for a moment so that it can dry. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to glue right here. And I'm going to glue right here. I'm going to roll this up. And you're going to notice that we're going to do two things. When I roll this up, it's going to have a double fold over. So I've got to put glue here. So I'm going to put this up, bring this side over. It doesn't matter which side you want to bring over first. Bring that side up, add a little bit more glue here. In fact, you need to add glue all the way up on top of the first one that you set down and glue that over. You want that to be a square. So hold it in place. I've got extra glue again, so let me wipe that off. It's not going to show because it's on the back. And I'm going to take my stylus to press just a little bit against it so I can hold that glue. Okay. That is the pocket. Now this is the back where you have the double layer. That's what's going to secure it to the book itself. But before we put that on there, let's go ahead and add our mats. We cut 3 of them at 2 7/8 inch by 3/8 of an inch. And you're just going to apply those any way you wish. Remember, I'll mark it so you can see. This is the back, so we don't want to mat there, but we do want to mat on this front. Just put it in place there. Good. I'm going to put a mat right here. It's better if I do it, I believe, on the paper and not on the box. I'm getting in a hurry and I don't want to do that. I'm on Eastern time, so it's getting late. Now I have a decorative mat on all 3 sides that are going to be showing. Before I glue it down, I'm going to take my distressing ink and I'm going to do these corners. I really don't think you can see them, but just to make sure that you don't have a lot of white edges, we're going to distress it. Again, I'm using the gathered twig, more of a brown color. You can use whatever color you like. You could even use black or smoke gray if you wanted, but a red tone does look nice on there. All right, I think I've got it pretty good. Excellent. Now, on the side that I marked the X on, I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to apply this on there. I'm going to apply it very low, as close to the bottom of the book as I can. The reason why I'm doing that is because your pens and your pencils are longer than the book. If you apply it low, you can get them to fit in there so they don't stick out of the book. See? So we're going to hold that in place for a moment, make sure it gets good and dry. Beautiful! Our pen holder is now finished. We have finished the inside construction of our cover. I can even put in my little pad of paper now. Slide that in nice and neatly. And let's see if it all closes. Beautiful. Can you see how it looks? The pen holder doesn't touch our cards and it doesn't touch our pad of paper. It holds nicely. That is sharp, guys. Love that. Love it. Now we're going to decorate the cover. The cover that I used, very simplistic design. I took a piece of brown artisan cardstock and I cut it 2 7/8 inches across by 5 5/8. That was 2 7/8 by 5 5/8. I again used that wonderful little hole punch and punched the corners. And I used the tiniest one, again, the same one that I did the tag with, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount my tag right on top of that as a mat. So let me go ahead and glue that on. I did not punch a hole in the tag because it's pretty much covered up. There we go. Burnish that down. It's going to fit nicely right here on the cover. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take mounting foam and I'm going to cover the back. I have a reason for doing this, so bear with me for just a moment here while I take a big piece of mounting foam and stick it down. How do I want to do that one? I think I'll cut it a little bit more. I use every thickness of mounting foam that I can find. I love 1/32 and 1/16 inch mounting foam, which is just barely thicker than really thick cardstock, but it gives me a little bit of security. The paper doesn't bend when you use those. It gives a lot more strength to your paper. So now when I pick this up, it doesn't bend. It's nice and flat, which is awesome. Press that down firmly. This will stay forever. I'm going to use a ribbon like I did on the front cover here. I don't know where I got this. It might have been a Hobby Lobby. It is fun, though, because it already has all the buttons sewn and attached to it. But you have to be careful because the buttons will tend to fall off if you're not very careful with it. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to cut this ribbon to the length that would allow me to roll over a little bit to the back. Okay? That's what I want to do. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to cut out my button. Yes, I have not lost my mind. This is what I need to do. I need to cut the button off. So I'm removing it. This is just a handy little trick for you to work with your other types of lace and ribbons. Okay, so I got that to where I have a blank piece of ribbon there. Now, I'm going to be laying it down like this. So I need one more button off of there. When I stretch it out, it has one more button in the way. I'll show you why in a second. Okay. Now, that fits beautifully. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop this white paper out of the way. I'm going to find the bottom of my tag. I'm going to bend up my adhesive, covering and liner, like that. I'm going to now take my ribbon, center it, hold to where I'm attaching it on the back, get it nice and straight, pull it tight so it doesn't have wrinkles and creases. There we go. Isn't that cool? Now it's attached, it's secure, I don't have to worry about it. It didn't go anywhere. Plus with the mounting foam, it gives you some height and definition anyway on the front cover. So now I can go ahead and pull off the rest of this. Mount this onto my cover. Try to get it in the middle. And press down firmly so it stays nice and tight. To decorate the cover, I pulled things from my stash. I'm going to save those buttons because we'll use those in the side. And I made a seam binding bow. This is the beige color. I like to trim my ends so they're pretty. If you don't know how to do that, put the bow in your hand, fold the ribbon in half and pinch it between your forefinger and your thumb and cut away up over your index finger, and it makes a nice little banner cut. So again, I'm going to hold the ribbon away and then cut over my index finger, just like that. And that will give me my bow. I'm going to attach a key. I have a collection of Graphic 45 keys, ornate metal keys. I bought these from Country Craft Creations, I believe. And I only have a few left, so I can take one and put it here. That would be lovely. A small one like that. I think the others are a little bit too big, so I'll save that. So I'm going to glue my key down first, and to glue the key down, the art glitter glue will work, but I feel more secure if I glue it with some super glue. I purchased my super glue from Dollar Tree. I purchased it in these little single-use packets. But folks, let me tell you, they're not a single-use item. If you take care of it, what you do is you use it, and when you get through, you're going to seal it back up. So I've been using this one for about a week now, every day. So I'm going to put a little bit of super glue there and lay my key on it. And no, I'm not going to touch it. I made that mistake once. Won't do that again. And I take a piece of Scotch tape. I wrap it around the nozzle, seal it, and pinch it tight all the way around. And that secures it so it doesn't get any air, and that stays nice and fresh. So you can keep using it over and over and over again. I love that. So that's what I do with my super glue. FYI. Now I'm going to need to let that dry, and I'm going to mount my bow on top of it. I personally make and sell a little rice bag like this. And what I do is I use it for a weight. I put my glue down. You can tell I left that open in between shots. We'll try to run it through with a pen again. Here we go. I'm going to put a nice little hefty bit of glue there. And I'm going to place my finger on the knot of the bow. And I'm going to lay my rice bag on it. That rice bag will absorb the moisture and pull the bow, hold the bow in perfect placement. Now I'm going to take it back off and show you again. All right, I'm going to hold it there, but I'm going to pull my tails down just a smidgen. I should have done that. That way they'll be angled down a little bit, which will look better. Okay, so I'm going to put my rice bag on there, and when it dries, it'll be clear glue, and it will look great. It'll be perky and stand up straight. You can see how this one did. Isn't that great? Now I'm going to decorate a few flowers on here. I use the Prima Flowers collection. Let me tell you, Country Craft Creations has a gorgeous assortment. Lots of colors of Prima flowers, and they just got in a bunch more. I want to go broke buying them, I think. But what I like about these is they're small. They have a little bit of greenery, tongue-tied. They have a little bit of greenery, which makes it easy to accent. And it comes with an extra little leaf. So I can add a little bit more of the greenery like that. So here's how I do it. I'm going to try to move this enough that I can get to the flowers. Can you see it okay there? Let me check. I think you can. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my green leaves, apply a little bit of glue to the back, position them the way I want. Here's a small one. I want that one to go up a little bit higher. Just like that. See if I can find another big one. There's one. I'll put it right there. The rest of the greenery I'll stick in as I need to. What I'm going to start with is one of my little roses here. And I'm going to place it right there. Hold it for just a moment. Good. Place another one. Hold it for just a moment. And then I'm going to use an ivory one to kind of round it out. And if I think I need a little bit more greenery, I could tuck in this little leaf here with some extra glue. I think I will. You know, the rule is rule of 3. So you don't want to put tons of flowers on there. You want to try to group it to where it pulls your eyes in. And that's the reason why we will add 3 little enamel dots on there when this dries to accent just a little bit more. When this dries, you can go back in and attach these little buttons to the front. Use a ribbon, add the embellishments of the fussy cut, some more enamel dots, and you'll have it completed. That's it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please check out all of my videos on YouTube. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, to keep me going, I need subscribers, so please do subscribe. And if you will like the video, it helps my rankings. I always invite you to share a comment. I love to hear your comments, suggestions, and thoughts. You could ring the bell below the YouTube video, and it will notify you when I have a new video come out. So don't forget, check out the link to Country Craft Creations below for your papers and your supplies, and I'll see you again soon. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.